Right, welcome everyone to another episode of the N.E.S.T podcast. Thank you for being here. This is episode 6. I hope you're all having an incredible new year thus far. If you're in England, you know what's happening. We're in third lockdown. Let's get it. We're about that lockdown life. Now, today's episode 6, is going to be on fad diets and just nutrition in general. So we're going to be looking at a few diets. Most of them can be classed as fad diets. Others have some form of research behind them. Now, those of you who are new here and do not know me, my name is Alex Amaginos. I'm a sport and exercise science student at the University of Portsmouth, and my background with nutrition, sport, fitness is quite extensive, you might say. I'm now 22. I've been training since I was 16, so I've been doing it for a decent 6 years. And I've also been a personal trainer for the last 3 around there, I believe. Now, let's quickly give a couple of thank yous and special mentions to a few people. So number 1, Arash, thank you for recommending this episode of the podcast. I greatly appreciate your recommendation. Arash is Arash Foruzande on Instagram, no spaces, and I'm going to leave you guys to spell out that last name there. So again, Arash, thank you for that. I appreciate it. And we've got actually quite a few other people who've put in recommendations. So everyone who put in recommendations through Instagram, I appreciate you. Thank you. Now, I will be giving people props as I go through. However, let's get into this. So what is a fad diet? Okay, F-A-D diet. It's basically Roberts, back in 2001, he wrote up a paper, and he summarized it as the following: a quick solution to a long-term problem. That problem being weight gain, diabetes, obesity, that kind of thing. And he described it as a quick solution to a long-term problem, which I fully agree with. Just full transparency, I completely agree. Most promoters of these diets do not have any nutritional or dietetic qualifications, and most of the research behind this is either questionable, there isn't any, or it's just anecdotal, which, that's just, you hate to see it. Apologies, I just had to take off my jumper because it was getting very warm in my room. So, how do these fad diets work? Okay, these work just like any other diet. Okay, you put yourself in a caloric deficit, and there's also actually a few other things which are actually interesting, and I did not know until I looked into this. So your macro composition of your current diet is actually affecting your appetite. So obviously different foods, different macronutrients will affect your satiation differently. Now, just a quick, before we go any further, what is actually a diet? Okay, so when people say I'm on a diet, they mean that they're trying to lose weight. Okay, now a diet is what you eat on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so I am technically on a diet at the moment. Am I on a weight loss diet? No, I'm not. But a diet is basically what you eat from on a day-to-day basis, and yeah, it's not always a case of weight loss or weight gain. It's just the foods you eat. So when someone asks what is your diet like, and the answer is not I'm not on a diet, because that would imply that you don't eat. And I really bloody hope you eat. Otherwise, we've got a serious issue on our hands. So that's the intro as such. Okay, so macro composition. Those of you who do not know, actually, if you have more protein in your diet, you feel more satiated, and satiation means that you feel more full and more. Yeah, like let's say you've just finished a nice meal, you're satiated, you're full, you can't eat anymore. So protein actually is the most satiating out of all the macronutrients, and then I believe it's then carbs, followed by fats, and that is simply because of the complexity of also breaking the proteins and the complex carbs and all that down. So complex carbs will take a little bit longer to process and a little bit longer to break down, hence there's more of a long-term energy release, rather than things like, simple carbs. Right, well, YouTube, it seems that I have lost you, so I thoroughly apologize for that. You'll just have to deal with my lovely voice. So yeah, sorry for that. My camera's just decided to give out, which is great. I love it when that happens. Now, let's move on. Okay, so what diets are there? Okay, so let's go with this. Let's go with the simple one. Okay, so we got low carb. Number one, low carb diet. This has probably been the most popular one, other than like Weight Watchers or whatever. And low carb diets, I found some research on them. Not all of it is good. Low carb can also be related to keto. It's not the same. Ketogenic diet is pretty much you obliterate every single carbohydrate out of there. Low carb is you're looking more at like, maybe 100 grams of carbs at most. Like, that is pushing it. I think the maximum for a low carb diet is around like 50, 60. So what do you see in a low carb diet? Okay, so a low carb diet, you see rapid results in week 1. And so for example, let's say in the first week that you've been dieting, you see rapid decline in body mass, and I'm not using weight for a certain reason. Anyone who does kind of anyone who knows anything about biomechanics and physiology, you'll know that body mass is the right thing to use. So body mass, so on body mass, sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. So you see rapid results in week 1 in relation to your body mass. However, that is not all to do with your weight. Okay, that is not to do with your actual body mass. That's not to do with your fat mass. It is also got to do with your water. So for every 1 gram of glycogen that you lose in that first week, you also lose 2 to 4 grams of water. Now that is, so basically, for if you see 5 kilos go off in the first week, 1 out of those 5 will be weight, the other 4 will most likely be water. So rapid weight loss is due to the glycogen and water loss. After the second week, your water equilibrium balances out again, so your body realize how to manage water, etc., to facilitate the lack of carbohydrates that you are intaking. Now, what are the drawbacks of this? So, as we said, the positive is the fact that you lose a lot of weight in week 1. However, again, those are mostly water. What is the drawbacks of a low carb diet? So, number 1, I'll leave this out to you. What do you think number 1 is? Take a couple of seconds. 1, 2. If you did not say dehydration, then you're wrong. Number 1, dehydration. You're losing 2 to 4 grams of water for every single gram of glycogen that you lose. Your body will not be able, you will be very dehydrated at the start of this. Number 2, you've got headaches. Number 3, you've got weakness. Number 4, you've got diarrhea. You don't have any fiber in your body. Fiber regulates your bowel movements, so you don't have any of that. You don't actually eat a lot of fruit, as it's mainly a low carb diet. So your vitamins are going to be low. And then you also actually have an increased risk of atherosclerosis. Those who do not know, that means a fat in basically your arteries get really solid because of the fat. So the fat in your arteries almost builds up, then it blocks the artery from being not a valid, but it stops it from being an effective blood vessel. And that could also lead to things like, heart attacks and whatever. And you've actually got a 50% increased risk of coronary heart disease. So, It's when you take out, and this is not just for low carb, this is for low fat, this is for low protein, whatever. I don't think anyone wants low protein, but whatever. This is for every single low blank diet. And when you take out a full food group, okay, a full macronutrient, what do you expect to happen, right? Those macronutrients are there for a reason. And by the way, the increased risk in atherosclerosis is because you've increased your intake from fats. Instead of, let's say, instead of having 200 grams of carbs and 80 grams of fat, you're now having 90 grams of carbs and 150 grams of fat. So you can see why that would be the case. So low carb diet, wouldn't really recommend it at all. It's great for, as I said, actually, I don't think it's great at all. I would not recommend it by any means necessary. If you do this, then prepare to suffer the consequences. So, and I don't mean to sound dark, it's just the way it came out. Now, what else do we have? We've got the high carb, low fat diet. Now, it's healthy as it's high in fiber, and, well, it can be healthy. Let me quickly rephrase that. It can be healthy if it is high in fiber and sufficient essential fatty acids and fat-soluble vitamins are consumed. Now, what are fat-soluble vitamins? So the fat-soluble vitamins are A, D, E, and K. Vitamin A, D, E, and K are all fat-soluble, and you've also got cholecalciferol. If you guys want to look up where you get those vitamins from, feel free to Google it in your own time. So high carb, low fat, it can be healthy should you consume a decent amount of fiber and sufficient essential fatty acids, as well as those fat-soluble vitamins. If not, then you need to have a look at that. You know what I mean? What are the drawbacks? So you risk deficiency of calcium, iron, zinc, and good protein. Calcium, obviously, if you're on low fat, you can't really have any kind of full fat milk or yogurt or whatever. You can't especially cheese, whatever. You don't really have a lot of room to play with in terms of calcium unless you start supplementing it with tablets, which I'll actually go through later on. Now, that's the high carb, low fat diet. All right, so I wouldn't particularly recommend it. Now, let's go on to Weight Watchers. All right, so Wilborn et al. Back in 2005 actually looked at Weight Watchers, and they also looked at Jenny Craig. So this is what they found in Weight Watchers. They lost an average of 4.8 kilos in body mass. They lost 4.3 centimeters on their waist, and they also lost 3.8 kilograms of fat within their time. And I've also got, actually, a little bit further down, I'll go further into this. Jenny Craig diet, 82% remained within 10% of their post-treatment weight. So let's say if you wanted to be 100 kilos, and then you had like a 10% buffer to put it back on, 82% remained within that 10%, which is not bad after the treatment. Eating a proper diet, this is what they found. Okay, so Wilborn et al. Found that in the end, although those Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig seem to have really good results and whatever, eating a proper diet and maintaining a relatively active lifestyle seems to be the best option. Because I'm not going to lie to you, if you lose weight, that's great, that's amazing. But if you're not doing exercise to accompany it on a day-to-day basis and keep your heart and lungs healthy, I'm sorry, but you're basically you're not really making a hole in the water, but you're attempting to squeeze that hole and try and make it a reality. So yeah, you're getting lower in weight, but your health is still similar. Now, what about so Pinto et al. In 2013 actually did a study where they took people and they put them in they gave them almost like a tailored nutrition, like they gave them a dietitian, and it was a specific plan for them, okay? And they did that over 48 weeks, and they saw what the changes in mass and stuff were. So In the first 12 weeks, the dietitian actually proved to be more beneficial, as they lost an extra kilo than the Weight Watchers group. In 24 weeks, they lost an extra 0.9 kilos, and then in 48 weeks, they actually went back down to minus 5.4 instead of minus 6, and then Weight Watchers overtook them with minus 6. So they were actually, on the 48 weeks, they were behind Weight Watchers. Now, what's the changes in intake? So the changes in intake is Weight Watchers was a lot more drastic. Okay, so Weight Watchers actually, not more drastic, sorry, they were more lenient. So the dietetics group put them on approximately 500 calorie deficit, whereas the Weight Watchers group actually put them in a 400 mark deficit. And that is because the Weight Watchers also did not actually give them much exercise to do, whereas the dietitian actually did. So there's two sides of looking at this. All right, so number one, you've got, Weight Watchers did actually overtake them in the 48 weeks, and they did have less of a calorie constriction, which is interesting. However, they did not give them pretty much any form of exercise to do, which is where I believe that they really went wrong. This is where I think that having a professional guide you through this, and someone with actual qualification like a dietitian from a university or whatever, I think that this is you also have physiologists which will tell you exactly what to do, for your health, basically. So I think I personally believe that you'd be better off health-wise as well as diet-wise with the dietitian group. Now, let's go on to the cost. All right, so the dietetics, 36 sessions for the first 24 weeks, they went once a week, and for the next 24 weeks of those 48 weeks, they went bi-weekly, and that cost about $433 for the entire 48 weeks. Okay, for the 48-week course, it was $433. Now, Weight Watchers, the simple plan is £164 for 48 weeks, which sounds a lot less. However, you also have Weight Watchers Plus, which is 252 quid. Hey Siri, how much is $433 in pounds? Let's have a look at that. So that's 316 quid. All right, so 316 quid. We don't need you to explain it further, Siri. Thank you. So this is, it looks, overall, it looks quite good. Okay, so 316 quid for the dietitian rather than the 252, which is 316.52. You're looking at roughly 60 quid difference. All right, £60 over the 48 weeks. Now, this is where it gets very interesting. Weight Watchers, you actually have to use their food. All right, and the dietitian will also instruct you, like they'll also teach you how to eat, what is a macronutrient, what is this, what is that, how many calories do you need in order to create a deficit, all that kind of stuff. Weight Watchers will just give you a plan. They'll say, here you go, get these foods, and then you're done. All right, so this is, that was a voice break, Christ. So here's the only issue that I have with Weight Watchers. So a Weight Watchers penne bolognese is 320 grams, and it costs £1.75 at Tesco's. Now, here is the thing. If you were to make that penne bolognese on your own, it would cost you 53p for 500 grams of penne. 500 grams of mince would be £2.59, and you're looking at bolognese sauce, which is next 64p. Now, you're probably sat there thinking, but Alex, like, having said all that, you're telling me that their portion costs £1.75, but what you've just told me costs £3.76. Whereas, like, why is it going to be cheaper if I go for normal food? And I'll give you the answer. Very simply, actually. With what I just told you, you get 3 servings. All right. Now, if you're on a diet, You might even squeeze it out to 4. I highly doubt any regular human being who is on a diet will be consuming 166 grams of pasta per serving. I highly doubt that. So you look at 500, you divide that by 4, you get 120 grams of pasta, right? Even that is high. So you can probably squeeze out an extra 3 to 4 servings out of that pasta. So let's say you manage to get only 4 servings out of everything. All of that, right? The bolognese sauce, the steak mince, and the penne. You managed to squeeze 4 servings out. You know how much that cost you per serving? 94p. And from 94p, £1.75 is very expensive. But I took it. I was subjective. I said, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the 3 servings because, you know, some people might not have as much self-control. So I took the 3 servings, which is £1.25 per serving, and I saw how much it would cost you for the extra 50p, right? So if you were to have the Weight Watchers bolognese every single time, instead of the actual home cooked one, right? The extra 50p over a year, over 48 weeks, right? That will cost you an extra £504 over the 48 weeks. So on top of the £252 that you're already paying, you'd be also paying an extra £500 for the premium that is Weight Watchers on the food. Which, I'm not going to lie to you, I am disgusted by. Like, yeah, granted, you know, in the grand scheme of things, 500 quid a year is not that bad. People pay that for insurance. But you're looking at £500 that you could be saving, and you could be putting towards that car insurance or towards your whatever, towards your savings, if you're into investing, whatever, do whatever you want to with it. And, you know, like, you look at that and that's 500 quid. It's not exactly a small amount of number. So that's my issue with Weight Watchers, that they don't teach you shit, and on top of that, they actually overcharge you for their food, which I think is disgusting. However, let's move on, all right? And these are a couple of extra bits. So we've got vegetarianism, veganism, we got the keto diet, we got the 1 meal a day diet, we got the caveman diet, and the seafood diet. So let's go on to vegetarianism, which is going to be interesting. Now, what are the pros and the cons of vegetarianism? And I've researched these. I could not really put all the references in because there were so many, my brain was about to explode. I'm not shitting you. So, vegetarianism, pros, less fats, less saturated fats, less cholesterol, which is great, all right? Although you kind of need cholesterol because it keeps your cells intact. However, that is different type of cholesterol. So less saturated fats and less cholesterol, which is good. Intestinal diseases in vegetarians are rare because obviously you're not consuming, like, you know, if you had something like chicken and it was undercooked and you had a really bad reaction, you wouldn't have that if you're a vegetarian because you didn't have the fucking chicken, quite frankly. And you've got increased fiber, folic acid, vitamin C and vitamin E, as well as vitamin K, magnesium and phytochemicals. Now, phytochemicals are actually pretty good for you. Obviously, everything to a certain extent. However, what are the results of these pros? So, the result of all of these, less fats and cholesterol, means less hypertension. Hypertension, those who do not know, it means that your blood pressure is actually a lot higher. It's basically high blood pressure. And there's also decreased low-density lipoproteins. Now, what does this mean? Right, so you've heard good and bad cholesterol. Okay, so LDL is the bad cholesterol. It does not have, it's, as I said, low density lipoprotein. It's got low density of proteins in the fats, and that is actually the cholesterol that will cause you to have a heart attack, basically. Putting it very simply, in the most simple science that I could possibly think of, it basically just gets stuck in your blood, and that's what causes your atherosclerosis and stuff like that. HDL cholesterol, high density lipoproteins, very good. They basically come and pick up the LDL. They come and just do their magic and pick it up. So what are the cons of vegetarianism? There's actually not a lot. So you've got only 4 deficiencies. Okay, you've got deficiency in omega-3 fatty acids, you've got a deficiency in iron, and you've got a deficiency in B12. Now, iron, if you consume enough lentils and stuff and all that kind of, you won't have an issue. You won't have an issue with iron, 100%. Omega-3 fatty acids, I can see how that would be an issue. However, that can be very easily solved by a simple cod liver oil, what do you want to call it? The supplement. And vitamin B12, again, supplementation. You can very easily get fortified foods that contain B12. Now, you've also are at an increased risk of osteoporosis. That is because of calcium. However, this is majority of vegetarians, is not all vegetarians. So if you are a vegetarian, please do continue to drink milk, stuff like that. It will help you out a lot more. Now let's go to the next one. Let's go to veganism. Okay, now I've got a major bone to pick with veganism. Anyone who knows me knows that I don't like veganism at all. So if I was to pick between, if let's say I could do whatever I wanted, right? So let's say I could go without eating bacon, without eating chicken, without eating beef, right? A slow cooked roast beef or a nice steak, lovely stuff. Let's say I could go without eating those things. Would I go be a vegetarian or would I go be a vegan? I would definitely be a vegetarian, and there is really good reasoning for that. Number one, and just anyone who is listening to this who is vegan, we don't hate you. We just hate the certain proportion of you that tend to rub it in and think you've got some form of moral high ground. That's what pisses me off. But I'm going to debunk a few myths that vegans tend to use against omnivores. Those of you who do not know, omnivores means that you eat everything. So humans actually evolved on an omnivorous diet. So no, our bodies are not, well, they might have been suited back millions of years ago on how to eat plants and shit, but they have adapted because that is what bodies do. So we have evolved on an omnivorous diet, which involves carnivorous, right? So we have evolved in order to eat meat, and so have our bodies. Dietary pills. This is where I was going on about dietary pills. A lot of vegans will probably turn around. They'll say, I could get this and that and this from dietary supplements. Now, yeah, dietary supplements are great. However, dietary pills are often an unreliable source of nutrients. Now, why is this? So you've got a business, right? You've got a business. You're a supplementation company. I don't say a nutrition company because that pisses me off. You're a supplementation company, all right? And you put out you find that it'd be cheaper for you to put in shitty, crappy, bad sources of nutrients instead of putting in good sources of nutrients. And it's actually cheaper, and it'll, you can jack up the price of the multivitamin because you say, it contains every single vitamin that you might need and da 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 da. But then the sources of that are shit. So you're actually doing quite a considerable amount of damage. So I would not put my faith in dietary pills purely because I know this sounds very conspiracy theory and this is like my tinfoil hat kind of thing, but it's I don't want to be putting in my own personal health on the hope that some company has not decided to make a quick buck out of me. But that's just me. Now, what are the cons of veganism? Obviously, veganism, you also have things like, again, you've got all the things that come with vegetarianism. So less saturated fats, low cholesterol, intestinal diseases are rare, increase of phytochemicals. You've actually got really good nutrients coming into your blood. because you're eating so many vegetables and stuff. So that's incredible. Okay, however, your nutrients, your vitamins, you're all good with. Your nutrients, I made a mistake there. You've got really good vitamin consumption, not necessarily nutrients or minerals. So, your minerals. We need to talk about this, all right? Because the fact that you're vegan means that you do not get a lot of calcium. Now, obviously, calcium comes from things like cheese. It comes from things like sardines. It comes from things like sardines. What are the little fishes that you eat that you can have the bones with? I think it may be sardines. I'm not 100% sure. But you get it from cheese. You get it from milk. You get it from yogurt. But you can't have that. Okay? So, please, if you are a vegan, please, for the love of God, Christ, Holy Spirit, Ahmed, whatever the hell you want to call it, please do consume some calcium, all right? Take calcium tablets, take whatever. I don't give a shit. Just make sure that you are hitting every single base on a consistent basis, because veganism is without a doubt, okay, without a shadow, in my head, there is no single shadow of a doubt of being the most at risk of deficiencies. Don't get me wrong, you're eating vegetables and all that kind of crap, but you've still got a very high risk of being deficient in stuff. Okay, and I'm not talking about vitamins, I'm talking specifically about minerals. Alright, so you need to be really careful. If you are, if you're a vegan, then fair play to you. I've got insane amounts of respect. I couldn't do it. But for the love of Christ, I know you may have some what do you want to call it, beliefs, but take care of yourself at the end of the day. Now, this is actually very, very, very popular one, which is actually why I'm going to do it last. We'll do keto last. So, 1 meal a day diet. Ron asks, Ron Joji on Instagram. So, Ron, here's my answer to you, mate. 1 meal a day, you can definitely do it. Would I recommend it? Absolutely the fuck not. Why? Because you're spending 23 hours of not eating, and then you're stuffing your face in that 1 hour. And here is why I wouldn't recommend it, right? Number one, how big is your meal, right? If my calorie recommendation, like if my calorie maintenance is 2,000 calories, am I going to have 2,000 calories in one meal? Like, damn, bruh. It's going to be a lot of food. So I don't think I'd recommend doing a 1 meal a day, because unless you're hitting your calorie requirements and you can actually go 23 hours without having any food, fair play to you. I take my hat off, but I would personally, I wouldn't split it into 1, 2, 3 meals a day. Actually, that's a lie. I would probably say do 3 meals a day. If I was to give people nutritional advice, I would say eat 3 meals a day, have a couple of small snacks, and that is that. This whole thing where you need to fast or whatever, like, intermittent fasting or any kind of fast, all right? That is not religious, that is, because, obviously Ramadan is a big thing. But any form of fast that is not for religious reasons or whatever, just, it's not necessary, okay? It's really not. The base the base formula for weight loss is calories in lower than calories out. That is the fundamental principle of weight loss, all right? It's thermodynamics. I'm sorry, whoever the fuck you are, you're not above the laws of physics, all right? If you are, please go to Harvard, go to Cambridge, go to Oxford. They want to study you, all right? They'll pay big money. So that's the answer to my question. I think 1 meal a day, if I wouldn't recommend it. I think it's ridiculous. I think people who do it, it's up to you, but I wouldn't recommend it at all. Number 2, Emily _ Cromwell. Emily, there's two underscores in that username. I'm looking at you, mate. You need to sort your shit out. Those who do not know, basically, Emily thought there was only one underscore in her username, so she messaged me and she was like, Alex, you got it wrong. And I'm like, no, Emily, you got it wrong. And then we started having a little bit of a giggle. But regardless, The seafood diet, I think, it's a very good one, actually. It's a very good one. I think that I wouldn't. If you're only going to consume seafood, I wouldn't. To be quite frank, I think that the best thing to do, and any nutritionist out there will agree with me, any dietitian will agree with me, that the best thing to do is eat a good, well-rounded diet. All right, and I know I'm sounding very cliche and very boring and whatever, but the best thing to do is, have a good diet that has lots of veg, lots of carbs, a decent source of protein, and then just I wouldn't recommend limiting yourself to a single thing unless you really like it. Let's say you absolutely love seafood and it's exactly what you always love eating, right? You could just sit there and have prawns for lunch, and you could have fucking, I don't know, like seashells for breakfast, or however weird some people may be. So, I wouldn't recommend you limiting yourself to a single kind of strain of diet. Jake says, _Jake Fay 98. Jake says, the one where you're in a calorie deficit. Mate, preach that shit. I appreciate that. So Ryan 559944 says Caveman Diet. No, not for me. And yeah, it's not. Caveman Diet is, don't get me wrong, it's, again, I don't think you should be limiting yourself to a single group of food, whether that's like, whatever, you eat exactly what a caveman eat. I think that, look, right, the fact is we've adapted over many years to eat exactly what we're eating now. Don't get me wrong, there's still things we haven't adapted to, things that are actually carcinogens, processed meats, all that kind of shit. That's still, we haven't adapted to that, all right? We haven't yet. But things like, having a good old steak. I think that the only positive of the caveman diet is cutting out processed meats. I think that is probably the best thing to do. That is the only bit that I agree with in the caveman diet. I think because a lot of people take it to the extreme and they say, I'm only going to eat X, Y, Z. And I'm like, but why the fuck would you do that when you've got like A, B, C? You know what I mean? So I think the only good thing about the caveman diet would be the fact that you eliminate processed meats. Processed meats are not, obviously, they're not exactly good. They're processed. They contain a lot of extra shit that is not needed. So yeah, that's my opinion on the caveman diet, is that it's way too old. It's way too outdated in the literal sense, right? We have adapted to eat newer stuff. So let's just, you can eat newer stuff. However, yeah, processed meats, I completely agree with it. It's Jamie Pender said a vegetarian diet. Already covered that, my man. But thank you for I appreciate the comment. Now, yeah, the water. Yeah, so this is actually a very interesting one. People have actually been doing this where they've been drinking only water and not eating for days, right? And that's one way to kill yourself. I'm not going to load alias_legend 786. That is one way to kill yourself, is by not eating food. Okay, that is actually the second quickest way to kill yourself without actually killing yourself, is to not eat. Actually, no, third quickest. Number 1, don't breathe. Number 2, don't drink water. Number 3 is don't eat. Number 4 is don't sleep. So, for the love of Christ, if you are thinking of just going on a fucking like, I think someone went on a 30-day fast. So for 30 days, they did not eat a single gram of food. Just to prove that they could do it. And I'm like, you're fucking stupid. Like, you will die. There's no doubt about it. You're going to die. Are you that much of a whatever? So I wouldn't recommend it personally. I think food is a necessity, and you can go 30 days without eating. Would I recommend it? No. Please don't. Some people have proved that it is possible to do, but for the love of Christ, don't try it. Don't go 2 weeks without it. Don't go 3 days without eating. All right, I don't recommend it at all. You'll feel shit. You're literally the thing is, when you don't eat, your body realizes that it doesn't have any food coming in, right? So what happens when you don't eat? When you don't eat, your body's not getting any nutrients. When it doesn't get any nutrients or any calories, it thinks, shit, I'm not getting any food. I need to start shutting things down which are non-essential. So things like fidgeting, you stop fidgeting as much. And I know it sounds stupid, but when you have a decent amount of calories in your body, you will fidget more than you will on no calories. Number 2, your mood. You'll feel tired most of the time, all the time, whatever. Number 3, exercise. Forget about it. What are you gonna okay, I get it. If you can stand up and walk around, you can run. But for the love of fucking Christ, that's stupid. You're on 0 calories. Your body is just sat there thinking, you know what? I don't really fancy a run. I think running is the last thing it's thinking about right now. It's trying to run away from you for being so stupid. So then after that, your non-exercise activity has gone down. So fidgeting or that, your exercise activity will go down. After that, your body, if you have not eaten for a decent few days, your body will start to shut off unnecessary things. Digestive system, obviously you don't fucking need it, so it's not going to be as active. And how long is it until your body starts shutting down essential stuff like kidneys, lungs, I don't know, heart? I mean, let's be honest, that is literally how it works. Your body thinks, you know what, I'm not being fed, I'm not going to help you out here, bro. So I had to take a sip of water there. My mouth's going a little bit dry. So any form of thing where you don't eat, just get in the bin. Mia M_ACTI_C says slim fast products and others like it. I guess that's kind of covered in the Weight Watchers thing we did, but I'm gonna call bullshit because you're basically paying for them to starve you. You're paying for a supplement, essentially, which is what it is. You're paying for a supplement which at some point is just putting you at a calorie deficit. And things even shit like, I don't know, like fat burners we went over that in the thingy. I think personally, if as much as I hate different diets, they all follow a single principle. And I don't care what diet you're doing, I don't care what supplement you're following, I don't care what the fuck anyway, you're getting my point here. The only thing that you need to do in order to lose weight is be in a calorie deficit. I don't give a shit if you do it by having a shake in the morning, I don't give a shit if you do it by having a smoothie in the morning, I don't give a shit if you do it by skipping breakfast and do it intermittent fasting. Alright, I don't give a damn. As long as you're doing it as long as you're still consuming good enough food during the day, good quality food. So you're consuming your vitamins, you're consuming your minerals, you're consuming your protein and your fats and your carbs, and you're taking every single box. I don't give a shit how you lose weight. Okay? I just want you to be in a calorie deficit and actually be losing weight at a healthy rate, as well as ticking off every single box that I just mentioned. So, after 40 minutes, 43 minutes, 55 of rambling on, here we go. The number 1 most requested diet. Asked by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. The Keto Diet. What do I think on the Keto Diet? Those who do not know, Keto Diet basically revolves around the fact that you're not eating any carbohydrates. Actually, let me quickly have a look at how many grams of carbohydrates can you actually eat. which I don't even think I can actually find it. Here we go. No more than 20 to 50 grams a day of carbohydrates. 20 to 50 grams. I'm pretty sure a banana would throw you over that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm nearly positive that a banana would throw you over that. Let's quickly have a look at that, because this is going to be very interesting. If a banana throws you over no, it's on 27 grams. So you can have a banana a day. You can actually have 2 bananas a day. Fucking hell. Okay, so you actually can't. You need to have under 2 bananas. You can have a banana and a half, banana and 3/4. So, okay, let's get into this. How does keto work? So keto deprives your body of every single... actually, wait, before I go into keto, how could I forget? We need to thank the people who asked for this. It's your boy, Vazzy Vaz. It's your boy, Vazzy100. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. We have then got Bryn_Ferber. You always come back, don't you, Brinley? You've got Amorginos, which is my brother. Thank you, Aguila. We've also got MLA. And yeah, I think that's it. Cool. So thank you to everyone who asked that. MZG, love that. Now, how does it work? So basically, the way that a keto diet works is that it puts your body at a massive deficit of glycogen. Glycogen obviously being carbohydrates, the simple form of carbohydrates. And as your body does not have glycogen or glucose, it then has to resolve to using other methods of energy in order to basically keep you alive, right? Now, what are the pros? And this is from Adam Parrott et al. In 2006. Get some water in me. So, pros. Decrease in body mass. That's about the only fucking pro there is, I'm not going to lie to you. Now, there's a select few groups, alright? There's 2 groups in specific, which I will admit that keto is incredible for. Alright, now type 1 is diabetes, alright? Specifically type 1 diabetics. I had a girlfriend who was type 1 diabetic, and every time that we had anything high in glucose, she would have the fucking worst time of her life afterwards managing it. Anyone who is type 1 diabetic out there, you know what I mean. You need to inject yourself with a shit ton of insulin to keep your body from spiking. So number 1, diabetes. Number 2, which I actually did not know until yesterday before yesterday when I was researching it, is epilepsy. So those of you who are epileptic, if you actually decrease your carbohydrate intake, there is a chance that will help you out. And I believe, I'm not 100% sure on this, so please do not take my word as fact, but I believe that is because obviously your neurons in your head are firing, and obviously your brain also works off of carbohydrates, right? I think when I was doing nutrition, we found that there's like a minimum of 50 grams a day to keep your brain at a really healthy optimum level of carbohydrates a day. So when you take those away, I'm guessing it fires with less intensity or something along those lines. But it's really interesting, actually. I really would like to look into that further. So, what are the cons of keto diets? Number 1, and this is the most popular one, keto flu. You feel like shit. All right, there's no other way of putting that. You're literally taking out a full group of food, right? You're taking out carbs, you're wiping them out the picture, right? You're Anakin Skywalkering these younglings like they're carbs, basically. The carbs are the younglings, you're Anakin Skywalker, and you're like zzz. So a Star Wars reference there for anyone who got it. Fair play. Anyone didn't, I'm sorry. However, you're literally just wiping out a full nutritional side of food. So for the love of Christ, don't do that. Decrease in lean mass. So because your body does not actually have any glycogen or glucose, it will result that actually, people tend to get this wrong. So people tend to think that as soon as your glycogen stores have been depleted, that the next source that your body uses is fats, when it's actually not. The next source that it uses is, I think you've got two types of carbs. You've got muscle, then you've got fat. Okay, and this is why, like, you know, sometimes different types of cardio will do different things. So your body actually targets proteins before it targets fats. Why? Because fats are actually an insulator. So fats keep your organs safe. Protein only helps you lift heavy shit. Fat keeps your organs from being like, bro, this is cold, I'm going to shut down. So you lose lean mass as soon as you go on a keto diet. You've got increased urinary calcium loss, which then results in lower bone mass density. Those who do not know what I just said there, because it's not quite English, is you pee out your calcium, basically, and that causes your bones to be a little bit more brittle. Now, why is this? All right, what's the science behind this? So, when you go on a keto diet, you go into something called ketoacidosis, which means your blood then becomes lightly acidic. Okay, now calcium is an alkaline. Therefore, in order to balance the pH in your blood, your body pulls the calcium away from your bones and puts it into your blood. Therefore, pH gets lowered and you don't die because of toxic blood, basically. So because you're not consuming any carbohydrates, you're increasing your fats. Therefore, LDL cholesterol tends to go up. And there's also a very large risk in developing kidney stones, which I'm not going to lie to you, I don't really look forward to getting any of those, so I'm going to stick with a normal diet. So, keto, what benefits are there to it, if any? You lose body mass, so that's a plus. However, that most of that will probably end up being lean mass. Sorry to shit on your parade, but it's probably a fact. Again, if you're diabetic or epileptic, please, the keto diet might actually help you. Diabetics, probably even a low carb diet will help you out, as long as what you are consuming, you can manage with your insulin. I would recommend complex carbs and a small source of them, purely because they obviously expel it over time. However, do not take my advice. I'm not a doctor. I'm only a sport and exercise science student. Now, what do we take away from this? If I had to pick one of these diets to follow, if there was a gun to my head and they were saying, Alex, either you pick this diet right now, I'm going to shoot your fucking ugly face, what would you do? And to be honest, I think I'd just take the bullet to my fucking face. No, I'm joking. I would probably go for something like Weight Watchers. As much as I hate it, I probably would. Purely because I don't then have to buy their shit. I just need to listen to their shitty opinions, which I'll probably discredit all of them anyway. But even so, their food actually doesn't taste half bad, so I'd probably go for that. Keto food tastes like shit. No offense to any vegetarians or vegans, but vegan food tastes like shit. Vegetarian food tastes alright, actually. I can't really slate that too much, but I'll probably go for Weight Watchers because I can still eat basically whatever the fuck I want, and people are not going to turn around to me and be like, like, shut the fuck up. The one diet that I would recommend people to follow is, and this sounds really cheesy and corny, but it's the one that's sustainable for you. Alright? And if you're going to go on a weight loss diet, which you think, oh, bro, I really don't want to fucking do this, I don't want to do this, don't want to do that, then don't, because within 3 weeks you're going to hate it, and you're going to be looking forward to when it finishes. Then when it finishes, you're going to go out on a fucking streak of buying a load of food and stuffing your face and becoming fat again, and the whole cycle repeats. So my recommendation for anyone out there who wants to lose weight, is do a diet which will help you out. Number one, that will help you out, and number two, for the love of fucking Christ, don't go for anything that's stupid and takes out a whole food group, because you're asking for trouble. But yeah, if you do want to lose weight, and you are sat there thinking, kind of, I don't know what diet to do a diet. There's one called the IIFYM, if it fits your macros. Now, you do not need to follow to a macronutrient standpoint. However, it will give you your calories. All right. If you go to a simple TDEE, Tango Delta Echo Echo calculator, just type that on Google. You will then see. You can put in a little calculator, and it will tell you what your daily caloric needs are. So have a look. Okay, have a look at what your caloric needs are. Have a look at what your what calorie deficit you're recommended at, and then simply just follow those calories. Download MyFitnessPal, and you'll be fine. Again, what I tend to say to every one of my clients, not only PT but also online coaching and whatever, is you're not a bodybuilder. You don't need to look at the chemical composition of the food. All right, as long as it's healthy in inverted commas, so quote unquote healthy, then you're fine. As long as it's healthy food, as long as you're not eating absolute shite. If you're going out and getting like 1,500 calories from Mackey's, then you and I need to have a chat. But go to Tesco's. As long as you're eating within that calorie deficit bracket, then you're fine. If there shouldn't be an issue. Having said that, yeah, there is TD calculators out there, so please go find yourself one, and from there just eat whatever you want, and as long as the calories kind of add up. You also have to realize that at some point, if you're let's say if you've got 2,500 calories for your day, and you have 1,000 for breakfast, you do realize that the other two meals you're going to have to be substantially smaller, because you've just stuffed your face with nearly half of what you can have for the entire day. So yeah, compromise, have a look, and I think again the best diet is the one that you can actually follow and you won't fall off the wagon as such. That's pretty much what I can recommend. Now I will have to wrap up this episode, as we are getting to that full hour mark, which is pretty cool. Now, thank you for joining for this week. It's greatly appreciated. I appreciate everyone who listens. And again, thank you for everyone who sent in their requests. Arash, thank you for requesting this episode. Alias Legend, Ron, Ryan, Jake, Vaz, Emily, both Emilys, Mia, Angelos, Bryn, and Lucy, who said a diet, which I'm not going to repeat. Thank you guys for sending in your requests. I greatly appreciate it. I might actually start asking a few more questions on my social media. So if you do not follow me on my social media, then it's at Alex Amorginos for my personal one. And then I also have at the N.E.S.T podcast. Or is it no, it's not. It's at the N.E.S.T cast. At the N.E.S.T cast. On my on Instagram as well. So please feel free to go over, follow me, have a look for yourself, and next time, contribute to what you want to hear. Drop me a message as well. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if there's anything else you would like me to cover. I'm always open to suggestions, as always. So yeah, again, I appreciate you for joining. Thank you. Have an incredible rest of your Wednesday evening. I'm recording this at 12, so it is actually Wednesday this time round. But thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your Wednesday, good rest of your week. And I will see you all next week for the next episode.